Hello, welcome back to the warm-up. I'm Kyle Wood, and today we are talking about what to do when you want to go away on holiday, or you want to have some time off, or you just want to run less sessions. What do you do? How do you duplicate yourself? When your clients love you, they won't train with any other trainer except you. How do you do that? How do you find someone out there in the world who can have the same rapport with your clients that you have, that your clients are actually excited about training with, and so that you can get a break once in a while? That's what we're going to talk about in today's episode. And I'm going to go through all of the different things, like how to find the right kind of person, what you like, how do you train them up? How do you introduce them to your clients? How do you then trust them to take care of this baby, which is your business? All right, you ready? Let's get into it. So the first thing I have for you is 2 words, and it is succession planning. Now, this sounds like a big corporate speak word, and it is. And it's not something that I would normally say, but I felt like it was perfect with this, because for most of those of you listening to this, you're just a one-person business. You're a one-person show. It's you and your clients, and that's it. You don't have lots of trainers working underneath you. You have maybe moved away from working for other businesses as just like a higher-end trainer, and maybe you've got a good thing going. But I'll share the story. What inspired this was a trainer who was talking about that they'd started a new type of class and they loved running this class, but running the new type of class and their old classes was just burning them out. It was too much. They were reaching an age where they wanted to scale back on what they were doing. So they want to bring in a trainer to take over their old classes, because they're still very successful. They still have lots of people coming to them. But their clients are like, no, we don't. We'd rather just send us some workouts to do at home. We'd rather not train with anyone else. So that's where this thing of succession planning comes in, because it's like, who's going to take over? If you're the only person in the business, who's going to take over when you're not there? Or when you hit an age where you're like, I don't want to be doing like 30, 40, 50, 60 hours a week. I want to be pulling back. So that's what succession planning is. It's accepting the reality that you're not going to do this forever, and it's putting your business and your clients in a good position for when you're not there. So, and we'll put that under the title of how to duplicate yourself. So, who is the right kind of person to train with you? My advice is I've introduced this section terribly. So we're going to here's how we're going to tackle this. We're going to talk about who's your ideal sort of person, trainer who's going to work with you. Then we'll talk about the interview process. Then we're going to talk about the apprenticeship process, go into more about that. And then I'm going to talk to you about ongoing, how this person fits into your business. So let's talk about the first bit. And this is coming from experience of having had assistant trainers in the past, having left my boot camp and had another trainer come in and wanting them to take care of my clients, and then working with lots of trainers who've gone through this issue. So that's where I'm coming from. That's where my experience is. And I am going to be talking about like how much to pay them and things like that. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a financial planner, but I'm just going to share with you my experiences and what I've witnessed. And hopefully that's really helpful in you making your own decision around this. So first thing, what do we want to look for in this person? You want them to get your business and get your classes the way that you run your classes, because that's why your classes are successful. Yes, it is good. We do want them to bring in their own twists and flavors and stuff like that. But in general, we want them to get the overall ethos of what your business is about. The other thing that I think is kind of clever is to look for trainers, not for trainers who want to be a trainer, be a personal trainer as a full-time gig, whether that's working for other people full-time or having a business where they sign their own business, sign their own boot camp business, their own fitness business. You want to look for people who have an existing career but have a passion for fitness that they want to explore on the side. So the reason for this is that they have like a reliable, consistent life. And so they tend to be reliable and consistent, which is what you want from a trainer. They also are not looking to take over your business one day. They're happy just to come in, assist, take some classes here and there. Whereas someone who is looking to do this full time may reach a point where your business is not big enough to sustain them. Or may reach a point where they're like, okay, I've got enough experience. I want to have a go at doing this on my own. Both of which are fine. You've now mentored a trainer who's going to go out into the industry and do good things. But in terms of like, these people are an investment. You want to keep them as long as you can, as long as it's a good fit. So that's why I found my most success with trainers who were doing this as just a side thing and were happy just to turn up, do the class and go home. And it was a bit of a creative outlet. It gave them, maybe they worked in an office all day and they actually got to get outside and run, people around and do things like that. So that's the first thing I look at. Or the second thing. The first thing was really like that they get your business, that they're familiar with your business. So you may not be posting this position in Facebook groups and on job, websites, career websites with job positions and things like that. This might come from, the best is someone who's already a client. So it's always good to keep an eye out for clients who are interested in becoming trainers. And then the other one is like through word of mouth is always really good too. So that's the first thing. And I like this term succession planning, because don't think of succession planning. Think of, like a king back in the day planning out how the first child is going to take over from them. And it's a long process. It's years, it's decades thinking about this. And doing this for you might not be decades, but you do want to think about that this process is going to take a while. It's going to take a while to find someone who's even a good candidate. Then as we talk through this next few phases, it's going to take a while to bring them up to a standard where you're happy to leave them with your clients and your clients are happy to be left with them. So let's talk about the next bit. So the next bit is interviewing. Now, the most important thing you can do in an interview, because you're probably like me, maybe don't come from a HR background or a position or a management position where you were used to hiring people. So the most important thing I can say without going into like nitty-gritty details and questions is to focus on making the person feel as comfortable as possible. So you want to take them somewhere for an interview that they're going to feel comfortable. That might be the park where you run the classes. That might be going for a coffee. It might be doing a workout together and then, sitting down and chatting afterwards. Whatever it is, you want to make them feel comfortable, because that's when their true self will come through. That's when they'll rather than telling you what they think you want to hear, they'll be more relaxed and comfortable and chatty. And then you can get a good feel like, is this person, are we going to get along? And are they going to get along with my clients? However, do not make the mistake of hiring someone who is exactly the same as you. Again, going back to the other thing, like you don't necessarily want to hire like a trainer who wants to make a business. Like you want that to be different. So having parts of them that are different to you, different background, different fitness journey, can be really helpful in actually making your classes and your business better. So it's really tempting, and I get it. I interviewed some people and I was like, man, we get along so well, blah, blah, blah. And then they were just terrible. They were just so unreliable. I had one guy who signed up and then like a month later was like, oh, I'm going on tour with my band. And then he was just gone. And I didn't hear from him for like 6 weeks. I would hear from him. He's like, oh yeah, I should be back next week. And then he got back and then he's like, oh no, I need to rest up. And I just didn't hear from him. So that was terrible. I really liked the guy, but I didn't do enough of this, like really sussing him out and really finding out what made him motivate him, what made him tick. And he was a great guy, but ultimately, looking back on that now, I should have picked someone different. And he didn't last very long. He stuck around for about 12 months. And then he wanted to find a more stable career because he was sick of juggling all these different professions. And then he left. He went into this other career and he left all these other ones. So that's just maybe a bit of a sign, like, especially if you're doing this for the first time, that's not like the kind of person who you want to like take a chance on. Yes. So interviewing, that's what am I saying? Make them feel comfortable. Pick someone who is not a clone of you, who is not like, oh, I just like this person, so I'm going to hire them, and actually have a look behind that about like, what are they going to bring to the business? What qualities are you looking for in them? And like I said, one of the things is reliability. And I would be checking out with their the people they've worked with before, so like their references, and checking up on that. All right. This is my second time recording this podcast because the first one, technology worked against me, and I didn't have that issue talking about hiring people who are different to you. Maybe I just didn't think about it. But okay, so let's say you've put the net out, you've caught some people, you've interviewed them, you picked a person. Maybe it's just one person all through this, and you're like, yeah, I think they're a good fit. I want to get started with them. The next thing I recommend, and this is so that one, they can get an idea of how your classes work and how you operate, and also B, so that they can build a rapport with your clients. You want to have some form of apprenticeship that they're coming to. And I think those of you who have been doing this for a long time probably nod along with me that the fitness profession should have an apprenticeship. It should be like a tradesperson who to become a plumber or electrician. You work and get paid as you learn. I think it should be the same. Like, we're working with people's human bodies. We have the ability to do great harm to people if we train them incorrectly. Therefore, there should be a period of at least mentorship beyond what you sort of have to mandatedly do as your to pass your course. So, for an apprenticeship, for someone, it depends how long the person's been a trainer, whether you make this a short apprenticeship or a long apprenticeship. If they've only been a trainer for a short period of time, you might set out an apprenticeship with you that lasts for a year. And during that year, they're given more and more responsibilities. But you might decide that like that's what you want someone to commit to. And you're going to filter out a lot of people. Like, not everyone's going to commit to that. Not everyone's going to make it through that year. But the person who does is probably going to be exactly the person you're looking for. So don't see it as a bad thing. And you will mess, like this process of like bringing people into your business, you will mess up. You will hire the wrong person. You will hire someone who seems like the perfect fit and they let you down. It just happens. It's just part of it. Just know that going into it. I think if you know that going into it and can accept it, you won't put so much riding on each person who you train up. So a brand new trainer, you might do a longer apprenticeship, 6 months, a year. For a trainer with a bit of experience, you might do like a 3-month apprenticeship. And so let me break that down to you. So the first month might be they're just shadowing you. They're just coming along to classes. They're getting to know the other clients. They may be doing a little bit of coaching. That's something you want to make sure that's like a green flag with a new trainer. Are they looking around the class and seeing who needs help? Are they having the confidence to step in, to correct technique, to coach people, to give people that bit of assistance who need that bit of help? That's a good sign. And that's something you want to encourage them to do from day one. And you can always give them feedback on that if you felt like they stepped into the wrong time or something like that. So from the first month, just shadowing you. And yes, pay them. Yes, we'll talk about how much to pay them in a sec. But definitely pay them because they're giving up their time to come. And then the month 2, you might get them to start running part of the workouts. Maybe they'll run a warm-up or a finisher. Maybe you'll even get them to come up with their own idea based on what they've seen you do. And then in month 3, you're going to get them to... sorry, a truck's pulled up outside. In month 3, you're going to get them to... Then in month 3, you're going to get them to start running some classes, to plan a class out, come up with a class idea, and then run it. Maybe they'll run one of your classes first, but then, and you can start giving them feedback on that. So each session that they do a little bit, or even they're just helping out with coaching, just like have a little debrief after the session, have a little hot debrief, tell them, give them a couple of pointers. Don't be overly critical, but give them that feedback so that they can improve. So then once they've gotten through those 3 months, now they've spent 3 months in your business, they've come to a lot of classes, they've started to build a rapport with your clients, and now you could probably start feeling comfortable saying, hey, I'm gonna get you to take the class on Monday night and I'm not going to be there. And then, get feedback from your clients on how it went, what they thought, things like that. So that's your apprenticeship. Payment, how much to pay these people? There are 2 ways to pay people. For the apprenticeship, I would just pay them a flat rate. And it might increase throughout the months as well as they take on more responsibility. So month 1, they might get paid a certain amount. Month 2, they get paid a little bit more. Month 3, they get paid a bit more again. And you might have milestones as well, that if they achieve certain qualifications and things like that, that their rate goes up. And for simplicity's sake, because you're a small business, you probably aren't going to set them up as an employee. You probably just have them invoice you, set up their own business numbers and things, and invoice you once a month or once every other week. Don't do it weekly. It's just annoying for you and for them. So just like once every 2 weeks or once a month is usually good. Then the other way you can pay them is... and this is more if you do end up hiring someone who is self-motivated, who wants to grow inside of your business, you might pay them a sliding scale based on how many clients come to the session. So you might start with like a small base amount, like $20, $15 or something, but then they get paid per client who comes above that. And that way, if there's someone who's motivated to go out there and grow the classes and do some marketing for you, then they've got room to grow in there and they can earn good money, and you're earning good money because you make sure you price it that, always make sure you price it that you're still making money at the end of the day. Like, don't have a class just going as like a charity. If it gets to a point where there's not enough people coming, you pull the plug on that class, unless you're going through a typically quiet period of time like winter or summer holidays. You might keep a class going, but in general, don't run a class if it's running at a loss. That's just a good rule. So you've worked out how much you're paying them, worked out something. Again, you want someone who's passionate about your business. So they're not necessarily there for the money. Doesn't mean you should underpay them. I always try to find a balance of where they felt like they were getting paid well for their time, and there was still money left that it made sense from a business perspective too. So this is the last thing, and this is the most important thing. You might be like, great, I found someone, I mentored them, we went through the apprenticeship, I've released them onto my clients, then now I can just forget about it. No, that's a big mistake. Over time, with any employee or anyone who works for you, you want to be keeping in touch with them, because if there's something that they feel dissatisfied about, or something that happens, it could be something little, but I find if those things fester without them talking to you directly about them, they can grow and grow and grow until the person becomes very dissatisfied, and that can show up then in the way that they run their classes, or it can just show up in like them saying, hey, I don't want to do this anymore, with no apparent notice. So you want to keep that relationship with them. And how you do that is, I used to be like, you got to meet up with them, every week, do this stuff. But I think a better way to do it is what works for you and the other trainer. If you've got a very experienced trainer, you might just choose to meet up once a month for coffee and just have a little check-in. If you've got one thing I'll say about this, whatever you do decide, make sure that they know from when they start that this is expected of them, that there's going to be this regular meetup, that this is part of them working with you. Maybe you'll even pay them for their time. It's like a work meeting. Another way you might do this is, I've seen some places out there that will put some money towards some continued education for their trainers. So they'll say, hey, if there's a course you want to do, we'll put $100, we'll put $200 towards it, something like that. I think a better way to do this, especially if the trainer isn't as experienced with you, is to do your continued education in-house. Yes, they can go do other courses, but have them come in and catch up with you, and maybe you'll do a workout together where you show them some of the stuff that that maybe they don't know. So maybe you'll do a session on like running, or a session on like games or something like that, and actually get in there and have a play together. And then you have a bit of a debrief at the end of that. But you're doing exercise together, which is getting everyone in a good mood and more open to like having a good discussion. So if there are any grievances, or there is something that the person's upset about, your trainer's upset about, they will feel more comfortable talking to you about it. And B, you're mentoring them, you're teaching them more about the way that you like to run classes, the way that you like to do things, which is just going to help, again, with that issue we talked about at the start, which is like, my clients don't want to train with anyone else. They love me. The more you mentor them and provide space for them. So you might meet up once every other week and do that, or once a month, or maybe once a week if you've got a few trainers. So that's what I recommend. Have some sort of ongoing support. Don't just expect that because you've hired someone, they'll just rock up and happily do their job every week. You need to give them that little bit of extra guidance and support. All right. I hope that's been really helpful. Let's do a little recap on how to duplicate yourself. Remember, it's to start thinking about this now. I don't want to put pressure on you. It's like, oh God, Carl, another thing to do. But start thinking about this now, because it takes time to find people and train them up and all the rest of it. So think about that succession planning. Like, where do I want my business to be in 5 years, 10 years? Start keeping an eye out for people who might be a good fit. Then make sure that they aren't the same as you. We don't want another trainer in our business who wants to start their own business. Not as like we're afraid they're going to steal our clients, but just in that they're probably not going to stick around. So you're going to invest all this time in someone. So hiring someone who just loves fitness, or has a new passion for fitness and is happy to do this as a side gig, perfect. Biggest thing with interviewing, make them feel comfortable, make them really feel like they can be themselves. Set up some sort of apprenticeship or mentorship model once they join. Make sure you're paying them something that makes sense from a business perspective and actually rewarding them for their time. And lastly, make sure you give them ongoing support. And I really like the model of continued education. I think it adds a good function to what you're doing, and it benefits you. You get to teach what and maybe sometimes they'll teach what they know. Maybe they'll go do a course, and then you'd say, hey, why don't you mentor me this session? And then you guys are all on the same page, and it provides a regular catch up for you guys to talk. All right, that's it for the warm up this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm Kyle Wood, and I'll see you next week.